just want to stay properly hydrated. You know, and out here at this part of California, I'm a little worried about it.
After several weeks spent in Northern California's Bluff Creek.
Hello, my name is Tateronimus. I am the creator, editor, filmmaker of Sasquatch Search for Sabe.
And I'm Ron Reed. I'm the narrator of the Sabe series. I also run a Facebook page and a YouTube channel called Trailing Giants.
How's that going for you, Ron?
You know,
Don't answer it.
I'm gonna get around to some stuff.
Don't answer that. You already answered it. I said don't answer. For people who don't know, I was being a major douchebag to Ron, and he fell for it and answered it like a willing puppy wanting to be pet.
Even though California has had hurricanes in the past, Hurricane Hillary was the first.
All right. So what's going on here with our commentary? You got birds.
You got birds. No, so this is actually a spot where 2016 in October, I was with a buddy of mine from Southern California. We ended up filming what I believe is a potential Sasquatch on camera. And I really haven't gotten anybody that I trusted out there, you know, in a while, since the past couple of years. I had Jonathan out there one time, Jonathan Easley. He went out there and he made a documentary on what he thinks might have happened. And then this was your first time out there too.
Yeah.
And so, getting more your perspective that we got on camera, what did you actually think of the? You kind of talk about it later, but I don't think we really went into detail what you thought of the area.
The area is, it's weird, right? Because it's a challenge to, it challenges our perception of Bigfoot, where it belongs, where it should be. You know, and in most places, man, I've been really critical of Bigfoot in arid environments, a lot of places where they've been allegedly seen in Arizona or different things, you know, areas that the desert Bigfoot is something that keeps coming up in our culture, right? And I've just always shot it right down. But this area, the fact that you vouch for this area, that you had something happen, that the context of what happened is pretty intriguing, and that some of the events that were going on around there before your involvement, the things that got you out there to do your research, I'm as I'm driving through these areas and seeing it for the first time, I'm saying, maybe I know we're not there yet to that exact location, but I'm very skeptical because I'm seeing desert.
Because you're seeing right now the road up there is very desert-like.
Yeah, a lot of scrub, not a lot of
Got service and started.
But this right where we're at right now is on the same mountain top. It's just at the other side. It's on a different part of the ridge or a different side of the mountain.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can kind of see, I think you show it because you're filming it right now. You show a shot where it shows more tree line and forest up in the area. It's not like Northern California where it's really thick. I mean, it's definitely wooded up there, but not extremely. It kind of reminds me of more Bart's thermal area up in the Sierra.
So here we're looking at the weather conditions.
Because this is during Hurricane Hillary.
Yeah. Yeah. This was big because you were trying to time it right. You know, we had a lot of people calling from home, worried about us heading into this. And this is a continuation of our theme of close calls, in dangerous situations. You know, it all started with our Bluff Creek hike, and then at this point we were aware of the fires that were starting to take over 6 Rivers after we had left there.
Yeah. You were there during the fires, actually.
Yeah. But what happens here on this trip kind of set the theme of the trip, because here we are in the middle of a hurricane, and more happens later that we'll talk about. But it was just this was one of those things that was cool. our anxiety was
And
all
turn
up
back down the mountain,
through Six
stay the
Rivers,
night
making sure
there,
that we didn't make the wrong
overnight,
decisions,
just wait
making
this
sure that we
out,
were able to get out of there.
and then
The year before, I had lost
go
a
back
car
home
to
in the
Six
morning.
Rivers. So I said,
Yeah.
surely the Southern California will be
Unfortunately,
easy. And then we
due to the
have
high
this
levels of
weather. We have
precipitation,
Well,
hurricane
there was a
hit us right at that time.
possibility of
It's so weird because
Ron and company head back
we
down
already
to
had the
mountain
the
to find
plan,
a
the
spot
days
for the night.
for when we were supposed to be in Southern California planned out, like maybe a month or two ahead, right?
Yeah.
We had no idea there was going to be a hurricane until like maybe the week of, or 2
Right.
weeks of, supposedly.
Heck yeah.
And I think the thing you were going to talk about more, it also happened twice. I want to point out. I'll talk about it the second time later. But right now, we're in a spot. I swear. And Glenn, the brown dwarf, he had the funniest like insult to our setup here.
You know,
He literally said, "I've seen homeless people with a better setup than you guys."
I just want to say
And we have our tent. We have our like tarp overhanging both of our vehicles. So Glenn's truck is right behind my Jeep,
We'll die first.
Yeah.
and then my Jeep's right here. It was actually a pretty bad setup.
like my skin's dry.
But later on, after this, I think shortly after I stopped filming,
The stuff you're hearing.
you're in the
all
Jeep. I'm in the Jeep. I think you're kind of like
Ron's
in the middle of the Jeep. I'm in the back, and Austin is sitting on a chair, and on the ground right there.
This is our sleeping arrangement.
And then Glenn is in his front seat,
Ron's gonna be right.
and we're
here.
just kind of like talking, and just
And,
talking about the weather, drinking beers and everything.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we start feeling an earthquake.
Got beer and
Well,
whiskey and a dream.
we got beer, whiskey, and a dream. I love that.
So right now we're trying to organize the car.
But yeah, we were like, we were just sitting there talking to each other, hanging out, and
Here's Ron.
my Jeep started shaking. Glenn's truck started shaking.
Here's Austin back here.
And we're all kind of like looking at each other perplexed. We're like, what is going on? And we were like, dude, there's a freaking earthquake that's happened.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, that was nuts, man. An earthquake during a hurricane.
It's a crowded car right now.
I was like, man, we should go buy lottery tickets after this, because the fact that we camped in the middle of a hurricane and an earthquake and survived to tell the tale says a lot.
Morning of the 21st. How'd you sleep, Ron?
Ron, you look like
says it
you
all.
look like the owner of a like a burrito
sleep.
food truck.
Survived. Storm came through and
There's Glenn, aka Brown Dwarf.
we're still kicking, so it's all good.
Oh,
Yeah.
The real test
Yeah,
is gonna
man.
see if the roads are.
And it was cold. Like, I mean, we were all layered up,
You were
dude.
coming down, we went up the mountain.
My
was
sweater,
cold.
my sweater got wet from the previous day trying to like set up the tarp and everything, and
I slipped a little bit. I don't
all
know.
I
that.
was slipping a little bit too.
Yeah, and so I'm glad we did come down when we did because, yeah, I don't know what the roads are looking like now. So
Yeah, we were kind of worried about the roads going
Hopefully not
up.
bad.
yeah, and then we did
And,
see some
um,
flood signs on the way in. So I wonder.
Yeah,
what those
'cause we got up
is.
there, we got to
And
the top.
also,
It was
Of that
pouring
one area.
rain.
It was
warning
raining. We
about
saw that the main
possible
precipitation was
floods in
coming.
certain
We
areas
looked on the
during
when
the
we got
morning,
service
so-
up there. We checked the phone and got an update on the hurricane. Said,
So that'll
okay,
be, interesting. We're
well,
gonna
how
see what
about
the roads
before
are
a
like.
tree
We're
comes
gonna
down or a rock rolls
eat a
over the
lot
road
of
and we
food
can't get
because
out?
we're
Why
gonna
don't we
top
go
of the
back to the
mountain
base of the
today.
mountain and come back
And
up?
we don't
Yeah.
really want to cook
Weather
food when we get
permitting,
back.
you know.
It's late and foggy and cold.
Yeah.
Actually, it's crazy because I didn't show the other camp spot because I think we camped in like. So we're maybe a little further from the actual base of the mountain, but the very first night we did camp at the base of the mountain. Remember?
Yeah.
And this is the second night we camped.
And I remember when we came back after all this rain, we drove by that area again
So
shortly
we
after,
finished
like
up-
around this time.
We finished
Yeah.
walking down
And,
camp, ate some lunch.
And
Stopped raining
like there were all
finally
these like
after a long
lakes of cooled water
day and
in
night
that
of rain.
Oh,
area
yeah.
that we camped. Yeah.
We're headed up to.
And so
my
now we're
thermal
kind of
site
headed up to
now.
the spot, and
We're up there.
it's funny because like we talked about like yeah maybe like a tree would come down or rocks would come down, but I think we got really fortunate when we were going up the mountain because we only came across one spot where rocks
I mean, what do you
fell into the
I've
road.
never been there before. Like,
Yeah.
What do you
And we were able to move that out of the way, which you actually can see in the episode.
I don't know.
But then it's like
you guys talk But
Yeah, if we went up there
less of
and then a tree did fall over and we had no way of getting it out of the way, that would suck.
I don't know. I don't have much of any expectations until we start doing what we do, you know? Hoping that the wind will work in our favor and it'll be quiet enough to do knocks and whoops. But I'm excited to do that. I know that where we're going, if there's more trees, then we got more firewood. And
I mean, we had the car full. We had you and myself. We had Austin and Bandit and all of our gear in my Jeep.
Yeah.
See what we find.
And I think you were concerned that I wouldn't be able to drive up past all the stuff. But I think that my vehicle would have ended up making it. But that being said, I mean, did things a little bit more efficiently here. That was both a good component and a bad. Like, I know that we would have had a better sleeping arrangement if we all had our own vehicles, you know. But
I don't even think they're. It'd probably be warmer and better. Yeah, I mean, I think. Well, honestly, I'll just say this: the first night we were there, it wasn't raining. We camped in tents and everything. It was fine. We all slept good. Then it was the second night. It was when it was during the hurricane. It was like raining all night. That was like when things got bad because. And here's you guys moving the rocks, but like in the Jeep, we had all our gear in the Jeep. We had everything in the Jeep, food, whatever. So none of it got wet. Where the problem was because we had everything in the Jeep, sleeping quarters were a little tight. I remember Austin, like, I think it was like 5 a.m. He ended up going to the tent underneath the tarp, and the tent was like wet inside.
It's a cool shot you got there.
Honestly, of all the episodes I've done, I think this one has my favorite drone shots.
Yeah.
So I have this really cool time lapse of like the clouds kind of overrolling the mountain.
And just the shot before that of us all moving that big rock. That was like my concern.
Exactly.
That's something that like 600 pounds heavier.
Well, you can see these rocks right here.
They couldn't be budged would keep us in.
Yeah. No, that was the scary thing.
So we made it back to
and now we're at the actual sighting area. So this is the parking lot where Austin and I ended up like actually setting up in. So we actually, at this point, we had our camp set up. We had our tent all made up and everything. And we were kind of hanging out, just, talking, drinking some beers and sodas and eating chips and salsa. And you saw where the actual sighting was compared to the parking lot where we're at. It's not far.
Right.
It's really not far. And you're trying to like kind of get an idea of what kind of food sources would be out in this area.
Yeah, because like so what I'm looking at was like I see that we're like in a forested area, but it's not like extremely extensive. Like it's not forest upon forest on forest. Like Six Rivers is all mountain forest, with other environments in there. But this spot was like, okay, you got a little bit of forest, but some Bigfoot would potentially have to go down into lower levels and have a diet of like succulents and cactus plants or something. So I was like just trying to collect I don't have any understanding of Bigfoot's behaviors being like that. So like I said, it was a challenge to like see the possibility of it, but really there's not anything keeping it from that.
It's just one of those areas. I think it's like that's why I don't think it's as worked by researchers versus other areas, because you just don't consider the possibility that these things might be there. Because I remember Jonathan's first time there, he was like very skeptical too, and then until he got to the area, he was starting to change his tune. I think you were the same way, because you were like, you're only seeing the bottom, which at the bottom of the mountain, it's very deserty.
Yeah.
At the top, it gets very forested, that kind of pine forest kind of thing.
been a pattern.
And it's actually a different world up at the top of the mountain versus the bottom.
Yeah.
Which I think
it does make you wonder. It does make you wonder, like, how many are there? There's probably less, you would think, like, in that area than in an area that's maybe more bountiful. But,
you know, in theory, Bigfoot can, you know, and it's got the ridges.
I think it's an area they travel through, not necessarily stay in too long, just because there's not as much food source. But this is a good shot of the ridge itself, and you can see how, like, part of it's forested at the top, it's scattered out throughout the area, and then the other side of the mountain is kind of burnt from like a previous fire. But I mean, that's enough shelter right there. And I think here's the actual footage of the video I took. So there's like, you can see like a kind of tree hanging down, a really big tree, and then the ridge right there. And this thing is like kneeling, I think it's kneeling down, because you can kind of see the top of the head. It's a little blacker than the background. Can you see that, Ron?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, it's just weird because I was trying to film it, and here's something I've noticed. It seems like anybody new to a thermal imager always seems to get something that they don't expect. This is my very first time using my thermal camera that I've got. Like, I've never used it before. I kind of like used it at home, but this is my first time actually like out in the field using it. And so when I was using it, I couldn't actually see what I was filming, because you can see like there's a camera display inside. So that's why I put the thing down to see, because we were seeing eye shine. Austin and I told you about that, and you see the stand up right there.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, the way that happens is just kind of.
So our cars
it's
are
so sudden.
Up that way.
And it's not like, and that's the thing, because
from the cars,
Austin and I were freaked out. The way I described it was, we had, at least for me, I had this like extreme fear, at the same time extreme excitement going on.
I'll zoom in on the log.
And so I remember we walked back to camp. The full video, it shows like after the thing stands up, I shortly put the camera down, and we walked back to camp. You can see the whole video of us walking back. We get to camp, and Austin's like, I was like, hey, should we go to some place else to camp? He's like, I wouldn't mind a change of scenery.
Yeah.
And
then we were kind of hanging around.
Austin told you, but he's a skeptic, you know. He doesn't really believe in Bigfoot, but he can't explain what he saw that night either.
That way.
And so,
yeah,
I don't know, just the circumstances surrounding everything. Because I did a couple knocks, and then I did a couple whoops, and that's when I got the response back. I got a whoop response back to me. And that's when we actually backtracked to where I'm going right now, to this overlook we kind of passed on the way through. And we ended up seeing eye shine, or what we thought was city lights, and I ended up recording. And since I couldn't see it, I put the camera down, and Austin did a couple calls. He's like, dude, it's gone. I think that's when it stood up and kind of walked away, is when Austin said it's gone, because it probably turned around. But yeah, I mean, after you saw the video, Ron, I want to get your opinion. Like, you saw the video before you went to the site. So what did you think seeing the video, and then what did you think seeing the site after seeing the video?
I think it's hard to like determine anything like from the video itself. Like, you got something with a heat signature, but it's distant. It's the shape of it, the resolution of it. Like, it's not like, I think that people, when they want to see Bigfoot on a thermal, they want to see like a clear silhouette that is humanoid, that clearly isn't a person, you know? Like, and how do you get that? Like, you got to see the whole thing without any vegetation.
So give or take a couple.
So I've always been like, I'll always look at these like thermals of alleged Bigfoot
kind of
and be really skeptical.
This tree here,
just because it's not Bigfoot shaped. Like it's just another shape, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
But that's
so
like
back
that's
then
how
it was
bears
like
are
2
too. Like I mean, like when you film anything with a
2
thermal,
feet tall,
you know,
2
and
half
it's in
foot
a natural environment, you're not gonna get super clear.
2 feet
What
tall is
made
it was back then.
it very
And so-
viable
but
was
you can
watching
see, like, if you
Jonathan's
come to where
documentary, see
this thing
him
was possibly
make his
standing.
analysis. And so I started like then all of a sudden I was excited to
You
look
can,
at the area, go
you can
there,
barely
see for
see.
myself.
Like,
But
if
the
you crouch
additional
down,
like conversations
it's a good
that I had
vantage
with
point for
you,
anything to
Austin,
kinda
giving that
do this
context, talking
and
about
stay
the
hidden,
whoop and the behaviors that you
And so
were
it stood up
responding
like
to
this
as you were filming
and
that,
walked down
like
that
that.
steep hill right
I
behind
think
us.
you know
Came
I
from
feel
that
like you
direction.
genuinely encountered something.
And
out
this is
there, you know,
this is
so-
this is the other thing too. I think I brought up
But if you start
the
walking down
distance
there,
between where we were at and where this thing was 300 feet, which is 100 yards, give or take, roughly.
Yeah.
And I was using a FLIR Scout TK, and if you look at the specs on that, that's the range is 100 yards
For anybody to come prank us,
for anything.
Oh yeah, no, that.
in the,
And so it's
in
just
the pitch black,
I find it weird because it's like this thing was about 300 yards
you know,
or
and there was
300
hunters out there. So who's
no,
gonna
300 feet from us, 100
with a
yards.
gun?
And I was talking to you right here is like, why would somebody, because there was hunters, we saw hunters like in different camp spots all along the ridge when we were going up that evening.
Footage by itself. is a
And
smoking gun.
why would somebody want to prank us if we had guns potentially, you know?
And the
Like,
behavior
and
observed in the footage, it
I
adds
also
up to
rule
the
out people because their eyes don't shine.
real. But then again,
Right. So you guys saw the eye shine, you heard the whoop, and then it's just also like you were at the best access point. So somebody would have really had to like park somewhere else and then bushwhack just to come up and prank you. And then they would disappear without a trace, without ever sending like giving an indication that you know
They were
that
there.
they were there, like a flashlight or something as they navigate down the mountain. You know.
Austin, there's a
And you
glimpse.
saw that mountain. It's for animals, it's not steep, but for a human to walk in the dark
Right.
to do that, it's out of the question for me. But also, again, how does somebody make their eyes glow?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. And at that distance, I think what Jonathan's documentary brought out is like a bear's eyesight is only good for so many yards. Beyond that, they rely on their smell. Was he say 50 yards?
Walk the road. Oh,
But we were beyond a bear's eyesight at that point.
Yards that way or something.
And whatever this thing was there for like about 2 minutes watching us. And then it stands up straight up. It's not like it kind of turned around and it just like went from this to that.
We were gonna go out.
And so I ruled out bear, deer at that point. And even a mountain lion I ruled out at that point.
Naps in the Jeep with Bandit there,
So
and
it's just one of those things that's very interesting.
a 15-minute nap ended up being like a 3 or 4 hour or whatever nap.
Oh.
Remember this?
Yeah, dude, I was so
Everybody's
bummed
asleep.
about that. We
2
were
o'clock in the
active that
morning.
whole day. We got up early.
So
we had to
we're gonna
break
just go
camp.
out
We were trying to dry
a
our
little
stuff
bit
out.
and,
We were, like post hurricane,
freaking
all that other stuff. Had to drive
Roll
across.
something up. and what's out there or
At this
something.
point, this is like
We're-
4 weeks on the road because we went to Mendocino after Bluff
Right.
Creek.
Yeah, so like we're like gradually like losing our stamina like throughout this trip, right? But then that day was a huge day. After like one of the worst nights we had camped the entire trip.
Yeah.
And so here we are. We're like excited. Okay, the weather's finally out. Like we were riding just emotional energy at that point. Like it would seem like everything was improving, and we were ready to get out and do it. But then we got settled in camp, and we ate, and then we just all like you and I specifically just ran out of energy. Like
Yeah, 'cause
Glenn,
we're gonna-
Austin, they were okay. They had been back home. They had rested, you know, like and Austin was just getting out, and but our trip caught up to us, and we said, oh, we're just gonna take like an hour nap in the car, gonna recline, and we had like a
It
whole
turned into
plan.
like 3 hours.
Yeah, we slept half the night, and then we woke up in like the wee hours of the morning, and those guys finally gave up on us.
It was like what 3:30 in the morning,
Yeah.
and we went out. We went out for like a couple hours or an hour and a half, and man, there's this. I want to point out there's this one shot coming up I really am very happy with. I've like cut the two pieces of footage together.
Looking at this, like,
I want to get your take on it because I don't think I ever got you publicly saying it.
Yeah.
What you think of the shot? So
the sleep caught up to us.
let's see. Here it is. Yeah, right there.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool.
It's like I kind of like did that like where it kind of blends the shots together in a way, and it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like that shot.
Yeah, that looked really cool because of like your focal point of the light like ends up fading into a person. Like yeah, that's cool.
I really like that shot. I try to get creative with shots like that when I can. And at this point, it was actually windier than we were wanting it to. Remember that?
Yeah.
I was actually kind of disappointed. So we ended up going out on the road.
Yeah, we were wondering if our knocks were even carrying as we were going.
It was just a bummer, man, because like this whole trip, I mean, despite what I might have heard in, you know, not Laird Meadow, but Twin Lakes, that potential knock, and then, you know, I didn't film anything for this series, but you did for your own thing. We went to your spot in Mendocino. You got some knocks.
Yeah.
And, I mean, other than that, just those two incidences or those two circumstances of the trip, we didn't really get much this whole thing. And I think this trip lasted, 5 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah. 5 weeks.
Give or take? Yeah. And so, because, man, when I'm like looking back on it and talking about it, we did so much. We did Bluff Creek. And we spent the most time there we've ever spent. Then we went to your spot in Mendocino. And then we went to this spot. Then we went to Iowa. I'm like, it's amazing how like we can carry ourselves as long as we've been on the road for.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely impacted me financially.
I say we walk a little bit more down the road.
I'm still feeling that, but
see if we get
but yeah, like it was the fact that we put that much time towards something consecutively. We got in the zone and we stayed in it, you know, like that.
Just looking out.
That's pretty impressive. I think that,
tossing a rock down,
especially because it's not like we have we're still establishing ourselves in the field.
Moving around down there.
And you know, in media, you know, we made the joke at the beginning, you know, like how my content's going, but you know, you at this point you hadn't had any significant growth on the stuff that you were doing, so we're just kind of fledgling content developers
traveling with the knocks,
and yeah, we just this is all from hard work and just saving and making it work, you know. And the fact that we're out here for more than a month, you know, over a 12th of the year.
So are you ready?
You know, we were Bigfooting. That's pretty cool.
It's just, you know what? It goes to show that even I was listening to Cliff and Bubba's podcast today, and now I'm forgetting what was said, but
there was no echo.
It's the fact that we've actually had experiences in the forest, you know, between you and I, or even together in the field, that keeps us going out there, despite if we get nothing for a whole month. Because I think we know that you can go out there as long as you want, or to all these different great spots, and still get nothing. But it's that one time when you get knocks or something that just keeps you going.
I mean, at least we were fortunate, and really, I think like this is the trip that like we had some stuff happen, but we have to like recall it. And then there's a lot of stuff that was like maybe. There was a lot of maybes that kept it interesting, but ultimately like didn't totally convince us, you know.
Right.
And I think that, I mean, I'm trying to think, like Twin Lakes, we had those possible knocks that we heard at 2 different intervals. And then we had the possible knocks that I heard around Laird Meadow from that overlook area.
I don't want to imitate.
And then Mendocino, I had heard knocks.
Vocals that like recorded and
just it's really just all wood knocks this year, so that's like.
Well, and then No Go Valley with that
a couple years ago.
tree branch that fell, and then whatever messed with the coin and the tree stump, which I definitely want to talk about in another commentary, but
yeah, but it's just kind of
that was just
like a continuous,
just different things like that. They add up, and it's like, okay, a coincidence maybe, or there's something in the area.
Basically,
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think here you're like wanting to do your call that you heard in Mendocino or
and then
Melody Camp.
Yeah, Melody Camp.
Look at this. So it's like a straight up like ape call in the middle of it.
I know we have plans to return to that area. Don't know when.
What spot is it? Oh, Melody Camp.
Yeah.
It seems a little
might be this year. Might have to be this year.
Yeah. Make a return to see what we get.
Yeah.
I wonder how busy it would actually be in October. You know, like
and recall like
like late fall or whatever.
If I can like replicate it to a closer degree.
Yeah, it was very melodic.
It's a very unusual call. Yeah, I didn't know how to replicate the sound I had heard.
I'll tell you what was going through my mind. I was like, this guy sounds like a really bad Kermit the Frog impersonator trying to sing. Kermit the Frog here.
I mean, it was so that. I don't want to interrupt myself because I want. That sound was really like that. It was all over the place like that. Anybody that's heard that, I'm doing my best to imitate something I can't do, you know?
It's kind of hysterical to watch. How was that?
Good enough for the lady big feet? I don't know.
Good enough.
You asked my opinion, but I just didn't want to be a dick and be like, it sucked.
Man, I'd love to have anybody try that one. You know what we need to do this year? At Bluff Creek, we need to make Jonathan.
God.
Oh yeah, you did that like screaming and scared the crap out of me.
You thought. We need to see if Jonathan can do his imitation of that call.
Oh, that'd be great.
We gotta make him do it and record it.
I have some plans for this coming October. For
that'll you know what that'll be? We'll call that the Melody Camp Challenge.
The Melody Camp Challenge.
we all have to like do that a night in Bigfooting. Try to do like that call.
Oh dear.
Play it back
God.
and then replicate it.
I don't know if I can, man. I mean,
that's the whole point. I did my best there after playing it back and listening to it 100 times.
Here's the thing. Now that you said that, I'm gonna have practice though.
I think what we can do is,
by all means, if you think practice is gonna help in the slightest,
here, send me the audio and I'll practice to it and I'll nail it. I'll nail it like Jesus the Carpenter.
You might get a response just.
Yeah, as we're walking back.
Okay.
If we have our lights on.
I don't know if that was like too much blasphemy there or what.
The fringe.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting anything. But then
as soon as you act like you're done.
Yeah, I start walking back and it's like, okay, time's over. Like even at Mendo, when I was in my solo hike at Mendocino, it was like I was camped out and I got some little rock tumble stuff.
He's talking about Mendocino. Mendocino this, Mendocino that.
Dude, you got knocked.
Oh, dude.
Trying to take over my video.
I got a cool code name for the spot in Mendocino now.
A couple different directions.
Ooh, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
I want to call it Brisket Camp.
Brisket Camp?
Yeah, because it looked like a cattle farming area where they stop through the graze and water their cattle, and it's all burnt from wildfires. So brisket.
I mean, I can get on board with that.
I don't want to call it. I was gonna call it Burnt Ranch, but there's an actual burnt ranch.
Yeah, there is.
In like 6 Rivers that
It's on like 96, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another Bigfoot.
I like
leaving.
I like what was the name you came up for it? Now
that's what happened to Ron in Mendocino. He was saying.
What'd you call it again?
The what?
Biscuit Ranch.
Brisket, like beef brisket.
Oh. I was off. Biscuit Ranch.
Stuff starts to go off.
Dude, speaking of biscuits, I'm gonna say this. My favorite spot to go eat in Bluff Creek after a long time is the Bigfoot Steakhouse.
Oh, you
and
talk
dude,
about the biscuits and gravy.
I load up on I get like 3 orders of biscuits and gravy there.
Did I try it this year?
I think you did.
I think I did. Yeah, pretty good.
And dude, I chow down on that like no tomorrow. It's so freaking good. I'm like, dude, I need 3 orders of biscuits and gravy and a Sprite.
Unfortunately, Tate and Ron didn't have
it's so good
on their final night. But nonetheless, this is a
man.
So it could be that a local population could simply
that's a good drone shot you got there.
It's I really love it.
Due to how dry and bare
I like that shot.
And because of that, Southern California could act as a untapped well for Bigfoot.
Well, this is the end of the episode. That's another great shot of you, me, and Glenn hanging out.
Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
But Bigfoot is observed.
But I mean, in conclusion, I really like this area, Southern California. There's a few other spots. I took you to another spot adjacent to this area, and
the last time Tate comes to research
it's a good area. I'm definitely going to go back there.
Yeah, I feel the same. I just wish that the hurricane didn't cut our time in half,
Those dumb hurricanes. What are you going to do?